So this lesson is on solving compound inequalities. So let's read through this definition real quick. A compound inequality is when two simple inequalities are combined into one statement by the words and or. Okay, so it's going to be inequalities, but you're going to see the word and, or you could see the word or. All right. What does it look like? So this is a pretty picture that came out of the book. But some things I really want you to get from this slide. If you see the word and, that means you're going to shade in the middle. So look at these graphs, and I'll show you what I mean. Right here, you see the word and. Here, you see the word and. And look, there's two dots, and it's shaded in the middle. So if you see the word and, you're going to shade in the middle. Or, this one has an or, this one has an or. If you see or, you're going to shade opposite, or on the outside. Okay, again, you're going to have two dots, but you shade on the outside of it. So let's get into some problems and see what this is actually going to look like. So here's example 1. Okay, so contrary to what I just told you, you don't see the word and or the word or. Okay, but the way I know it is a compound inequality is because there's two inequalities. Okay, it's very, very, very easy. Watch how I'm going to solve this. You see how the x is in the middle? Here's an inequality, and here's an inequality. What I'm trying to do is get this x all by itself. Okay, so right now, what's in the middle with the x? The 1. So I want to move it. And just like with equations and just like with inequalities, to move it, we do the opposite. And the opposite of plus is minus. So I'm going to do -1. You have to do it on both sides. Okay, I'm going to do -1 everywhere. So these 1s go away. On the left-hand side, we're going to get -6. Bring down my inequality. Bring down my x. Bring down my inequality. And 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, so now we're solved. X is in the middle all by itself. That's what we wanted. Let me show you how these are going to be graphed. Okay, my smallest number is -6. So my smallest number was -6. My biggest number is a 1. Just like before, if there's no line under it, you're going to do an open circle. Open circle. And if your x is in the middle, right, it goes -6 and then x and then 1. So if your x is in the middle, then that means you shade in the middle. Okay, let's do another one because I'm sure you're like, what is she doing? Here's another one. So again, I got two inequalities. That's how I know it's going to be compound. And I want to get this x by itself. So right now, in the middle with that x, there's this 3 and there's this 1. So you got to figure out which one do I move first. Well, we want to move the 1 first, right? Because the 3 and the x are attached. So the opposite of minus is plus. So I'm going to add 1 everywhere. 8 plus 1 is 9. I'm going to bring down 3x. These 1s went away. And 11 plus 1 is 12. Okay, now x is still not by itself. So I'm going to divide by 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. I didn't mean to X that out. Those go away. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So again, let's graph it. The smaller number comes first, so 3 comes first, 4 comes last. The 3 does not have a line under it, so I'm just going to do an open circle. The 4 does have a line under it, so I'm going to shade the circle in. And again, if x is in the middle, then that means we shade in the middle. Okay, let's do another one. Here we go. Here we go. I want to get this in by itself. So I need to move the 3 and the 5. Now, we're going to move the 5 first. The opposite of adding is subtracting. We subtract everywhere. We subtract everywhere. So here on the left side, we get -9. Bring down my inequality, bring down 3 in, the 5s go away. 11 minus 5 is 6. To move that 3, we're going to divide everything by 3. Divide by 3. -9 divided by 3 is -3. These 3's go away, and I have an n. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So graphing it, You look at your two numbers, negative 3 is smaller, so it's going to go first, and then 2. Your negative 3 has the line under it, so we're going to shade that one in. See, it has that line. 2 does not, so it's going to be an open circle. And if your letter is in the middle, then we shade in the middle. All right, this one has an or. I actually think these are maybe a little bit easier because you're going to solve this inequality, and then you're going to solve this inequality. And we're just going to graph our two answers. So here we go. I want to get t by itself, so I want to move this 8. The opposite of a positive is a negative. So I have t greater than or equal to negative 1. Solve this one. I want to get t by itself, so I want to move the 8. The opposite of a positive is a negative. So those cancel, and I have t is less than negative 6. Okay, let's graph. All right, remember on the other 3 problems, I never really stressed it, but I did say the smaller number comes first. Well, that's important in this one, because look at my numbers. I got a negative 1 and a negative 6. Which one is smaller? Negative 6. So I got to put the negative 6 first and the negative 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to graph this inequality. Okay, it's an open circle at negative 6. And if I turn this into an arrow, it goes to the left. So I would shade left. All right, I'm going to graph, this inequality in red. It has the line under it, so it's going to be a closed circle. And it's going towards the right, so I'm going to shade to the right. And that's how you do an or. Okay, it's going to be shaded on the outside of your 2 dots. Let's do another one. I want to get x by itself. These are multiplying, so I'm going to divide by 4. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. I'm going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Whoops, I should not have put this line under it. Okay, so put the smaller number first. Which one's smaller, 5 or 7? 5. So I'm going to graph this one first. Whoops. It has the line under it, so it's a shaded in circle. And if I made it into an arrow, it goes left. Now I'm going to graph this one. It's at 7. It's an open circle. And if I made it into an arrow, it goes to the right. So I would shade to the right. So now it's or, we're shaded on the outside, and we're good. All right, let's do this one. I would divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. Now remember, when you divide by a negative, you flip that inequality. And 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. Okay, let's solve this one. I want x by itself. So I got to move the 2 and the 4. I'm going to move the 4 first. The opposite of adding is subtracting. So I have 2x. And negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. Now I got to divide by 2. And don't flip it because we're dividing by a positive 2, and I get negative 5. So graphing it, let's do this. Which one is smaller? Negative 5 or negative 4? Negative 5, so that goes first. And then negative 4. The negative 5 has no line, so it's going to be an open circle. The 4 does have one, so I'm going to make it closed circle. This one, the negative 5, if I turned it into an arrow, it would go left. This one, if I turned it into an arrow, it goes right. Which makes sense because it's an or, which means we shade on the outside. All right, what if I ask you to write this compound inequality, okay? Which you're gonna have to do a few of those on your worksheet. First thing I see is it's shaded opposite or on the outside, so I know I'm gonna write an or, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do is write this half. So x comes first, I'm shaded to the left, which means it's going to go to the left. And that dot is shaded in, which means I should have a line under it. And it's at -8. Okay, now let's do this side. It's shaded to the right, which means it's going to go to the right. It's an open circle, which means I do not need to put a line under it. And the number it's at is 0. So that's the compound inequality for that graph. Let's do another one. This one is shaded in the middle. So there's two ways you can write it, and I'm going to show you both. The first thing you could do is you could write it with the word and. Okay, and then it's going to work the same. I'm going to have an X. According to this dot, it's shaded to the right. Right? It's an open circle, so I don't need a line under it. And the number is a -2. This side is shaded to the left, so it would go like this. It's at the number 5, and it's an open circle, so I would not need a line underneath that inequality. So you can write it like that using the word and. Another way you could write it is how all the other ones were written that we did, where we shaded in the middle. The first number is -2. Your inequalities will always go like this. X is in the middle, and your other number is 5. And again, neither of these inequalities need lines under them because they're both open circles. Both of these are right. Both of these are fine. I don't care which way you pick. Okay? So let's do one more like this. I'm going to do it both ways again. It's shaded in the middle, so you could use the word and. Over here, it's shaded to the right, so I'd do it to the right. It's a -9, and it's an open circle, so I don't need a line. This one is shaded to the left, so I'd make my arrow go left. It's at -2, and it's an open circle, so I don't need a line. Or if you wanted to write it the other way, your numbers are -9 and -2. Your inequalities always go like this, and just put your X in the middle. And again, neither inequality needs a line under it because your circles are open. So if you would go try the worksheet on 3.3, solving compound inequalities, and turn it in when you're done. Thanks.